Okay, very good morning. So in our last class, we discussed about power in the wind energy. So that is what P is equal to of a rho A V cube. That is what we discussed that equation. Okay. So today's we are going to discuss aerodynamic. What is meant by aerodynamic? Okay, and how that blades are designed and how that wind is flowing. Okay, and also we derived one small equation is there, that is what maximum power, and that derivation is with the help of Bend's law. We are going to derive that equation. So in the last class we discussed that maximum power is equal to 0.596 total power. That is what we discussed. So the same equation we are going to derive today's class. Okay, yes, first thing, aerodynamic turbine means aerodynamic, it's a design, it's a design for the blades. Okay, so aerodynamic design is for the design for the blades. So this aero means it's air, dynamic means it is at the motion. So any object is at motion, it is called dynamic, means it's a dynamic one. Dynamically it is moving. Okay, so aero means air. So that is with the aerodynamic deal with the motion of air, motion of air, or not only air, any other gases or any other fluids. Okay, so any other gas, fluids, and the force acting on that body. Okay, that force acting on that moving body. Okay, and through that it is called aerodynamic. So aerodynamic means it is the it's a motion of a air or any other gas fluid, a motion of a air or any other gas fluids, and force acting on that body. Okay, so that moving body is acting on one object, that is what it creates the aerodynamic. Clear? So the aerodynamic theory is developed for aeroplane. Actually this aerodynamic theory is earlier developed for the aeroplanes. Actually it is for the yes, just a minute, notepad is not working. Yes. Yes, earlier this theory is specially meant for the aeroplanes, okay, and helicopters, so that it easily bisects the air and it will easily moving along the air. So aeroplanes and helicopters are moving in the atmosphere, not on the roads. Okay, they are moving in the atmosphere, so that they only get the obstruction is from the air. So the for easy movement they created that aerodynamic shape. So that aerodynamic shape will helps to move that plane or helicopter easily along that air or atmosphere. Okay, and this defining the performance of the wind turbine. Actually it gives the performance of the wind turbine. So however now this theory is specially for formulated the wind turbines, means the same theory will implemented for the windmills. Okay, so windmills are used to convert that whatever that energy in the air into the mechanical energy. Okay, so that the device, that is what the blades. Okay, that blades are made with a aerodynamic design. Okay, and this is what a typical blade. Okay, see here, so this is a typical blade, and this blade is having a chord length and angle of attack. Okay, and because of this the relative wind will project it on that blade, and it will gives the two forces called a lift force and the drag force. Okay, so the angle of attack means this is the angle between the reference line and the body and the relative wind. Okay, so it is related with the relative wind. Okay, so this is the angle of attack means it is the chord length, it is a chord length, or it is also called as a reference line. It is a chord length or reference line to the relative to the body. Okay, so this is what we can, this angle. Okay, yes, this angle. So here to here, this angle we can call it as an angle of attack. So through which the air will strikes the blade. So it is denoted by alpha. Okay, so chord length is a straight line joining the leading edge of the profiler blade. So this is a profiler blade, and this is from the leading edge to the trailing edge. So leading edge to the trailing edge. Okay, so this edge is with a rotor and this edge is at the end. So from here to here the line is passing, a straight line is passing. That line we can call it as a chord line. Okay, and relative wind means the wind which is related to this blade, means the portion of the wind, not all the portion of the wind, only the some portion of the wind is striking on that blade, that is called relative wind. Okay, and because of these three actions it will induce us a lift and drag, that I will explain in the next slide. Okay, so this is what the wind flow, this is a wind pattern. Okay, it is always moving like this, and once it is only this portion of the air will strikes the blade and the rest portion of the air is not striking. Okay, so only this much portion of the air is striking, and here it will strikes and it will change the direction and it starts moving. Okay, so while changing the direction there is a change in the momentum and it causes the two forces called a lift force and the drag force, and by combiningly these a resultant will cause us called a resultant force. Okay, and this is how this entire thing we can call it as a swept volume. Okay, swept volume means it's a diameter. So it's a diameter, swept diameter we can call it as a, so this is a swept area. Okay, so through which only the air which is flowing in the swept area is reason to convert that air energy into only mechanical energy, and other than this swept area there is no air energy will converted, only the air is related to this swept area converts that energy into kinetic energy into mechanical energy. This is how the airflow, and it will strikes and it will start induce the lift force as well as drag force, and it causes the resultant force. Yes, this is what the drag force and the lift force. Okay, this is a wind flow. Okay, just only I explained, and this is a wind flow and it strikes the blade. Okay, wind having some energy, that is it at motion, and it will strikes the body and it causes the aerodynamic action. Okay, so it causes the lift force and drag force. So what is meant by lift force? Lift force, okay, so actually the extraction of power from the wind, okay, and it converts to mechanical to electric energy, that is what we know. Okay, so from the wind depends on certain criteria and certain forces. This process depends on certain criteria and forces and applying onto the rotor or rotation and to this mechanism. And there are two primary mechanisms for producing a force which are called a lift and drag force. The wind will causes the two primary forces, that is called lift and drag force. By definition, this lift force is act perpendicular. Always lift force act perpendicular. You can observe in the slide, it is always act perpendicular to the direction of the motion or airflow. Okay, and while drag force it's act direction of the flow. You just observe the drag force, it is along the direction of the airflow, but lift force always perpendicular to the direction of the airflow. That is what the difference between the lift force and drag force. And this will produce a change in the velocity and of the airstream. These two forces will cause us the change in the velocity of the airstream flowing over either side of the lifting surfaces, and spending up with the airflow causes the pressure to drop while slowing the airstream down and leads to increase in the pressure. And in other words, any change in the velocity generates a pressure difference. We already know that any change in the velocity causes the pressure differences across the lifting surfaces, and this pressure difference produces a force that begins to act on high pressure side and move towards the low pressure side. Always pressure is moving from higher to lower. Okay, and this side lift the surfaces, and we can call it as a aerofoil. A good aerofoil has a high lift and drag ratio. In some cases it can be generate a lift force perpendicular to the airstream and direction which are 30 times as great as drag force parallel to the flow. And always in the figure you just observe the lift force is responsible for movement of the blade, okay, and it should be big, means it should be big. We need a big lift force because it causes the movement. And a drag force, we want to make this force to small because it is moving along the flow. It won't cause us any movement in the blade. Only the lift force will cause us the change of the direction, change of the momentum, and it will cause us the movement of the blade, so that it should be big. And this alpha, we already know that it is an angle of attack, and particularly for a particular speed and relative wind, there is an optimum angle of attack. If there is an optimum angle of attack, it will reduce the drag force, okay, and increase the lift force. Only when optimum angle of alpha, okay, if it is alpha is low, okay, you just see there is a maximum drag force, or if it is a medium, there is also some drag force is there. But if the alpha is high or an optimum, then it reduces the angle of attack is maximum, so that it will reduce the drag force. In the figure, you just observe, here there is an drag force, here also there is a more drag force, but here there is a less drag force. That is because of the high alpha, high angle of attack. You just observe this angle of attack is like this. Here there is a medium angle of attack, and here very low angle of attack. It is nearly 1 degree or 2 degree, but here less than 10 degree, it is more than 10 degree. Okay. So I will show one video with respect to this drag and lift force. Yes.
But how do they do it? Let's take a look at the section view of a blade.
Yes.
It shows a wing profile, just like the wings of airplanes. The shape of the blade is what makes the blade translate.
Yes.
The direction of the air.
This is what the aerodynamic of the blade, and the wind velocity, and there is a wind flow, and wind flow causes the rotation. This is what the drag force and lift force. Lift force is causes the blade to rotate.
The radial velocity of offshore turbines.
Always the velocity is more at the tip and very less at the starting point of the blade. And this can be
This is why the tip of the blade is
is
twisted into the direction of the airflow. It ensures the right angle of attack.
yes, it's the right angle of the so that we can achieve the maximum lift or maximum movement of the blade. Okay. So here angle of attack is there. Okay, this angle of attack, if it is a high angle of attack, it will cause us the more lift force, and that more lift force change in the direction, it will start rotating this blade. Okay, and always velocity. Okay, so here in the tip, so there is a more velocity, so we get the more velocity, so that the more movement in the tip, and at the starting point of the blade it's a less. Okay, so that it will start rotate the blades. Okay. So next is a tip speed ratio. It is called TSR. The tip speed ratio is the ratio of the speed of the rotating blade. That is what we just discussed through that video. It's a rotation of the blade, rotating of the blade tip. So always at the tip there is a more speed movement, and the blade tip to the blade speed of the free stream wind. There is an optimum angle of attack which creates the highest lift to the drag ratio, and because of this angle of attack, it's depend on the wind speed. There is an optimum wind speed ratio, and it can given by TSR, that is omega r by v, where omega is the rotational speed of rotational speed. Okay, it is in the radian per second. R is the rotor radius or rotor diameter. You can, if you want, you can consider diameter or radius, no problem. And V is the wind speed. It's the wind free stream speed. Okay, so by using this equation, we can find out the tip speed ratio. And the performance over the range of the tip speed ratio, it is like this. Cp is the coefficient of performance. It's a power coefficient, and it varies with the tip speed ratio. And this tip speed ratio, it is between the 6 to 8. We can achieve the more power coefficient. Power coefficient is more. And if the tip speed ratio is less, 0 to up to 4, it is a low power coefficient. And if it is more than 8, 9, 10, 11, then also we get the less power coefficient. Okay, the tip speed ratio is optimum from 6 to 8, or even up to 9 also we can consider. Yes, next thing is Bend's limit. Okay, so next important concept is there. Okay, Bend's limit. So Bend's is one German physicist. His name is Albert Benz in 1990. Okay, so he concluded that the whatever the efficiency of the windmill, the efficiency, ultimate efficiency of the windmill is restricted, or it is limited to 59.3 percentage. That is what the maximum power, which is equal to 0.59, we just discussed in the previous class. The same thing is given by the Benz. It is 59.3 or 16 by 27. The ratio is 16 by 27. Okay, and this is because of, see, this is a V1 or VI, or also we can call it as a V1. So in some books they referred VI, it's a inflow of air velocity. Okay, in some books they taken V1. Okay, don't get confused. So V1 or VI both are same, and V2, okay, or VE. VE means exit velocity, V2 means exit velocity, both are same. So A1, A2. Okay, in some of the book they consider S is the swept area, but in some of the book they taken A. So here we can consider A. A is the swept area. So swept area means the area of this rotor blades, the total area of the rotor blade at which it is rotating. See, you just see, observe here, this area, it is, we can consider as a A, and VA is the inflow of the air against to the blades, and VE is the exit. After doing work, the air will exit. Okay, that we can consider as a VE or V2. Okay, so Benz limits is a theoretical maximum efficiency. It is related to the maximum efficiency of the wind turbine. Okay, it's a wind turbine. The maximum efficiency is 59.3, but actually in reality the turbine cannot reach the Benz limit, because Benz limit is very high. It's a 59 point, but actually the efficiency of the turbine is between 35 to 45. It may 30%, it may 35%, or it may 40%. That is the maximum. It cannot reach the Benz limit of 59.3. Clear? So, but Benz is given this equation. So it is a conversion of that kinetic energy into electric energy. That efficiency is 59.3. So it is given by Benz. So some of the assumptions made by the Benz is the rotor does not possesses a hub. The rotor does not possesses a hub, and this is an ideal rotor with an infinite number of blades which have no drag. Means drag force is 0, only there is a lift force, and it includes a number of blades, maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 blades. Any resulting drag force would only lower this idealized value. Okay, so there is no drag force, he assumed. Because actually in practical there is a drag force. If you go with any angle of attack, minimum, medium, or very high, okay, so even though very high angle of attack, the alpha value, there is a drag force, but he assumed that there is no drag force. That's why he got the value of 59.6. But reality, there is a drag force that will reduce up to 35 to 40% of efficiency. The flow in second assumption, the flow into and out of the rotor is axial. He always consider it is an axial flow, and it is a controlled volume analysis, and to construct a solution to control volume must contain a all flow going in and out, and failure account for flow would volatile and conservation equation. Okay, so we are going to take that equation. Okay, in the next slide I am going to take the energy conservation equation. Through that only I am going to derive this equation. Okay, so here the flow is axial flow, and next is, this is an incompressible, means the air, whatever the air is flowing, okay, from V1, V2 and V, so that air is incompressible. If it is a incompressible, if it is a compressible, it won't produce any pressure differences. So it is incompressible, then only it will produce the pressure differences. That is the most important thing. Okay, and no heat transfer. And next thing is, there is no heat transfer from the rotor to the flow or from air to the rotor. So rotor to the air to the rotor, there is no heat flow, only the force is transfer. The energy is only transfer, there is no heat flow. And the rotor is also massless. Here we are going to consider that rotor, whatever that using, that rotor is a massless. Okay, and no account taken for angular momentum, and impart either by the rotor or the airflow behind the rotor. So no account is taken for any weak effect. Okay, so here we are not considering that mass of the rotor. So if you consider the mass of the rotor, again it will cause some resistance, and that mass will affect the efficiency, so that indirectly the efficiency will reduces. So this is a power with the wind speed. If the wind speed is increases, okay, the power is also increases. By this graph we already discussed in our last class. So if more wind power means more wind speed V. If the wind speed is less, power generation is also very less. Okay. So that Bend's law, just see.
Now let's see what is Bet's law.
Bend's law. Okay.
Bet's law. No turbine can capture more than 1626.
Yes, that is the maximum efficiency, 59.3 maximum efficiency. That kinetic energy is converted into electric energy. So wind turbine, it is rotating. This rotation is a swept area. Okay.
Let's prove the theorem. Let's assume that the average wind speed through the rotor area is the average.
Yes, it is called, yes, this is a V1 and this is V2 and this is V. It is passes through.
Passage through the rotor plane, called as V2.
V2 passes. And we can take V average is equal to V1 plus V2 by 2. That is the average V.
Streaming through the rotor during 1 second is equal to multiplied
And this we will discuss in our derivation. And this is swept area. This is what we call it as a swept area. We can call it as a A.
second law. The rotor is equal to the mass times the drop in the wind speed squared. Substituting m into this expression from the first equation, we get the following expression for streaming through exactly the same area F.
As this equation, what we are going to,
We call this power. Wind is then divided by V1. We may plot P divided P0.
yes, we'll start the derivation. Yes, just consider. So this is what the application of conservation of mass. That is what we just discussed from the Benz law. Okay. So this equation, what that conservation of mass. Okay. So we can write it. This m is m. Okay. So that m is equal to mass actually. Okay. So that m dot, which is equal to rho into a1 v1, or you can call it as a rho a2 v2. That is at the exit and at the inlet. Inlet velocity, outlet velocity, inlet area, outlet area, and this is the density of air. Density of air is common. So at the average, at the, okay, so here this is what okay, from the Benz law, this is a V1 and this is V2, and at this junction we can call it as a V. Okay. So this is what a rho, density of air, and A1. Okay. So the area of this, and this we can call it as a A. This is, we can call it as a swept area, and this is V2 and V2 area, and V1 A1 area. Okay. And where V1 is the speed in the upstreaming, it is the speed in the upstreaming, and V2 is the speed in the downstreaming to the rotor. Okay. And density and area at the rotor, this is what area. In some of the books they consider A, and some of the books they taken S. So S is nothing but A is area of the rotor blade. Okay. And next is the force exerted. Okay, you just take the force exerted on the wind by the rotor, and it can be written as the force which is exerted on the rotor. Okay, and it is by the wind. So wind will cause us the force, correct? it will strikes the blade and it will rotate. Because of the force only, the blade is rotating. That's why we can take this F is equal to m into A. F is equal to m into A. This we can write. Okay, F is the force which is caused by the wind and which can taken as m into A, where m is equal to, we already know that. So in the power equation, m is equal to rho A V. So rho density, area and velocity, and m into A. So A means it's a area and we can write it as a dV by dt. So change in the velocity with respect to the time. Okay, and this we can write it as m into dV. And finally, if you place the value of m, and final the force equation will become F is equal to rho A V into V1 minus V2. So change in velocity we can call it as a V1 minus V2. Okay, so that we can call it as a equation 1. So final first equation F is equal to ma, that we can by substituting the values, and finally we can call it as a F is equal to rho A V, okay, into V1 minus V2. So V1 is upstreaming velocity, V2 is downstreaming velocity, and V is the velocity, average velocity. Okay, and the power and the work. So next is the power and the work. So next what we need is power and the work. So because of that force, it will cause us the work. Okay, so the work done by the force may be written as the work done. Okay, so because of that force, it causes the work, and that work done, okay, we can call it as a dE. So dE is the work done, which is equal to, so dE is equal to F into dx. Okay, so that is what force, and in the change in the direction, that causes the work done. So work done means because of that force, the change of the position we can call it as a work done. If there is no change of the position, it won't did any work. So here work done is taken place means it will change the position. That's why we can call it as a dE is equal to F into dx. And the power, and for that power, the rate of change of work. So power means the rate of change of work, that we can call it as a P is equal to dE by dt. Okay, so then F into dx by dt. So F, we already know that the dE value we can just substitute here. So finally F is equal to dx by dt. And this dx by dt, we already know that we can call it as a V, velocity. Velocity means change in the place because of change in the direction. So P is equal to, finally we can write the power which is equal to F into V, means force into velocity that causes the power. So you can call it as a equation 2. Now substituting equation 1 in equation 2, finally we get P is equal to, substitute the F value from the equation 1 and we get rho AV, okay, into this value, that is what, V1 minus V2 into V. And finally we can write rho A V square. So V to V square and V1 minus V2. This we can call it as a equation 3. So now we got the equation 3 for the power, which is equal to P is equal to rho density of the air, area, swept area, and velocity square, which is equal to V1 minus V2. That we can call it as a equation 3. And any conservation of energy, okay, so we can control the volume, that we can write it as P is equal to dE by dt. That is what we just from. So P is equal to delta E by delta t. So small change in the work will cause us a small change in the time with respect to the time. Okay, so P is equal to, that we can write as a P is equal to of m dot into V1 square minus V2 square. That is what the potential energy. Potential energy is equal to of mv square is there, no? We already know that potential energy. So potential energy is equal to, so already we got the equation, okay, with the help of that above. And next the same power, we can also write the potential energy or power, okay, that we can call it as a is equal to, power is equal to, so P is equal to so P is equal to of m V square. Okay, so m is the mass, that is what, of m dot. V means here velocity. That average velocity is, we already know that from the equation, that the average velocity is, it's a 1 by 2 v1 minus v2. Is it correct? So that if you replace that, it is become a v1 square minus v2 square of v1 square minus v2 square. And next, so looking back to the continuity equation, by substituting that mass, we can, the mass equation we already know that m is equal to rho av, and if you substitute that in the previous equation, p is equal to of v1 square minus v2 square is there, but the mass value rho av. And equating equation 1 and equation 3 and 4, we got that equation 3 and we got the equation 4. Okay, so if we equate, so equation 3 is from the kinetic energy, and equation 3 is what we got the change in the velocity. Is it correct? And equation 4 is from the previous, that is what, of mv square, we got this equation. So by equating equation 3 and equation 4, we got that p is equal to of rho av v1 square minus v2 square, which is equal to of a v square v1 minus v2. So here by comparing, okay, so by comparing these, okay, if you just cancel these things, so finally it remains of v1 square and v1 square, this, and this is what, of v1 square minus v2 square, and this of is as it is, and v1 plus v2 means a square minus b square, that equals to, that gives a plus b, okay, and into a minus b, the same equation what we are using here. So v1 square minus v2 square means v1 plus v2 into v1 minus v2, and finally this we can call it as a v, so v1 minus v2. So finally we got the same thing. Okay, so finally we can say the v value is, v is equal to 1 by 2 v1 plus v2. It is by just comparison. Okay, so comparing that equating equations. And come to the efforts. Okay, wind force or wind velocity at the rotor may be taken as an average of the upstream and downstream velocities, and this can be related to the both by the Bend's equation. Now we are going to use that Bend's equation and its coefficient for performance. Return to the main equation, that is E dash is equal to of m dot v2 minus v1, that is what the same equation what we are used here. See here he, okay, the same equation what we are used, take this equation. Yes, I am going to use that same equation, and E dash is equal to change of work done, which is equal to of mass into velocity v square, and that we can write, we just got the values, you substitute the same values here. Okay, so v means it's a of v1 plus v2, so 1 by 2 it is become 1 by 4 and rho a, and instead of this value v1 plus v2, and it is same, and you just multiply this, means if you expand this, if you expand v1 square v1 cube v1 minus into minus, minus and plus, it is minus v1 into v2 square, and here v2 v1, so v2 v1 square, and minus into plus, minus v2 and v2 square, it is v cube. Okay, so this we can call it as a equation 3. So now applying differentiation, if you apply differentiation for the above equation, that is for the E equation, if you apply differentiation with respect to the v2, only with respect to the v2, means outlet or exit velocity, so that gives dE by dv2, that gives the 0. For this it is become 0 differentiation, and if you implement the differentiation for this above equation 1 by 4, okay, so as it is 1 by 4 rho a, and for this v1, so differentiation is v2, so this will term become 0, and here v1 is there, okay, as it is right v2, so differentiation of this v2 square, it is become 2 v2, and plus and v1 v2, so here differentiation of v1, it is become 1, and v1 whole square as it is, and minus v2 cube is there, so differentiation of this 3 v2 square, that I return, and 0 is there. So if you send these terms to this side, it is become 0 as it is, and now simplify this, so this become 0, okay, as it is 0, and 0 which is equal to minus 2 V1 V2 plus V1 square minus 3 V2 square. And finally rearrange, take the minus common and send to this side, it is become 0. So 3 V2 square plus 2 V1 V2 minus V2 square. And for the maximum, it is always the ratio is V1 by V2 is 1 by 3. So V1 which is equal to V2 for minimum, and for the maximum, so V2 is equal to V1 by 3. If V2 is equal to 1 by 3 of V1, then it is a maximum equation. If V1 which is equal to V2, we get the minimum power. Okay. So now substituting V2 which is equal to 1 by 3 of V1 for the above equation for the maximum. Okay. By substituting that, P maximum is equal to, that is what, power maximum. So power is maximum what? When V2 is equal to 1 by 3 of V1. So P maximum is equal to 1 by 4 rho A. So in the place of V2, just substitute the value of V1, 1 by 3 V1 and V1 square and 1 by 3 V1 whole square. So P maximum is equal to 1 by 4 rho A, and this is, take the common, okay, V1, and 4 by 4 into V1 by 3, and here, so square is there, so it is become 3, square means 9, so 9, so here 9 V1 square minus V1 square, so it is become 8 V1 square by 9. So this 3 into 9, it is become 27, and here 32 is there. So 8 into 4, it is become 32. So here 1 by 4 is there. So if we get cancel, it is get cancel 4 and 32, it is become 16. So 4 16 is the, okay, so 4, okay, if you just cancel it, and finally it is become 16, okay, by 27 rho A V1 cube. And if you take the ratio, the P maximum is equal to 0.592 P total. This is what the P total we got in the previous equation, power, so total power. So it's a P maximum which is equal to 5.92 P total, and there is a maximum efficiency. If you want the maximum efficiency, the power maximum by power total, which gives the 5.9. This is according to the Bend's law, but normally we know that the ratio is always less than 35 to 40%, but according to the Bend's law, that efficiency is 59.2. So the total maximum power, which is equal to 5.592 total power, or in terms of 59.2%. Clear? So it's a simple derivation, you just go through it.